What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Alex here. Today I'm going to be reviewing the wildest chapter of part 2, chapter 137 of Chainsaw Man. Before I start today's video, me and one of my viewers, Mr. Morpheus, did create a Discord channel. So if you guys want to join my community there to talk to me and other people about Chainsaw Man or just anime in general, consider clicking on the Discord link down below in the comment section. But enough of the self-promotion, let's get into the review. Alright, so the chapter picks up with Denji and Snake Dot in the movie theater, where Snake Dot's still having her hands on Denji's snake, and she gives Denji an offer that if he licks the dead devil in the movie theater, she will sleep with him. And at first, Denji is actually into it until he really thinks about things and calls out how sketchy this entire situation is, considering any other time a woman has come on to Denji, as always with the intent to kill him or manipulate him in some way. And in the next panel, we get one of the best dialogues we've gotten of Denji, and probably the most character development we've seen from him in part 2, where he outright says that he's matured and he doesn't fall for honey traps anymore. And he says in really the saddest look we've gotten from Denji that he's sick and tired of mindlessly obeying somebody for the bait that's dangled in front of him. And this incredible speech by Denji ends with him telling Snake Dot to buzz off and have some self-respect for herself. And just when I thought Denji was finally speaking up for himself, he was finally going to go with his brain instead of his conditioning of doing what others asked him to do without a second thought. Denji instead thinks with his snake, and in the next panel we see Denji licking and sucking on his devil's tentacles as Snake Dot laughs in amusement. And what makes this even worse is the monologue of Denji standing up for himself and saying what he should have said, what we all thought that he would have said, is actually all thought up by him. And I have to say, it almost feels like this is Fujimoto's way of making fun of the fanbase by displaying how Denji should act and how many people would want him to act, especially after everything he's went through in part 1. And it ends with Fujimoto giving us what we always wanted to see out of Denji, but just in the worst way possible, as he laughs basically through this thought. And what hurts the most out of this is how self-aware Denji is. I mean, it really shows how deep his conditioning of doing what he's told out of fear or out of the chance of getting a reward really is. I mean, even though he realizes this is wrong and Snake Dot is sketchy as hell, I mean, Denji doesn't even know what this chick's name actually is. It's almost like he really can't help himself, and I think deep down he probably hates and even feels disgusted with himself for essentially falling for the same trap over and over again. Then we cut to Karaoke Fujimoto, the recording studio where the anime endings were obviously recorded, where Denji in rockstar fashion is just gonna get down with this girl in the music studio. And it's explained by Snake Dot that they could never get a hotel room in school uniforms to get down, so she chose Karaoke Fujimoto because one of her friends works there part-time and would pretty much turn a blind eye on her and Denji's fun time. And before Denji and Snake Dot can do the nasty, we get a panel of Snake Dot singing what is just the thirstiest lyrics I've ever heard of. And the song sang by Snake Dot is actually a rare song created by Maximum Hormone, who wrote the songs for Ending 3 of Chainsaw Man's anime, which is a really cool callback. And while Denji is sitting down looking incredibly disappointed by this, what I like about this sequence is it really does show how self-aware Denji is about this situation, because he does comment for once while he's on a date that he's just glad that it isn't a trap of any kind. And that he's actually beginning to have fun, and he'll just kind of roll with the events that's kind of unfolding right now. And for once, we actually see Denji smiling, thinking that maybe a normal life isn't so bad after all. Now, what happens next is just far beyond normal. I mean, this chapter goes from definitely being strange to this being just Fight Club levels of craziness. Because random men burst through the door with baseball bats to jump Denji as Snake Dot continues singing. And just when we thought maybe these guys were the last guys, we get a panel of men with baseball bats lining up Power Ranger style to fight Denji as he mows these guys down effortlessly with his bare hands. And Denji steps out of the room, picks up a bat from one of the guys that tried to jump him, and just start beating the absolute shit out of these guys. And Denji went full John Wick on these fools. I mean, they stood absolutely no chance. And at the end of this massacre, Denji is just standing with just the craziest look on his face. I think the craziest look we've ever seen from Denji in part 2's story. And even crazier look than Denji had in part 1. Luckily when he actually went on ahead and fought the Yakuza members who turned into zombies after he turned into Chainsaw Man for the first time. And in the final panel, we see Snake Thought, who's been singing the entire time, is now about to face off against Denji with no hesitation whatsoever. And that is how the chapter ends. And my god, Fujimoto knows how to write probably one of the most bizarre chapters in all of shonen manga. I mean, this is just absolutely crazy to the point where people don't even know what to think anymore. And this thought, I gotta say, is starting to grow on me more and more. I mean, even though I think it's kind of obvious that she isn't any good for Denji. I mean, she probably did set him up to get jumped by these people. The mystery around her character and just the craziness she brings to the story is making her, in my opinion, be one of my favorite characters for part 2 story. I mean, even though we don't even know what this girl's name even is. Although one of the lyrics for this song that I was actually singing in this chapter, I believe actually does reveal her identity. Justice Game, Lust Slave, Uncontrollable Desire. Now, Justice Game, at least to me, is obviously a reference to the Justice Devil and his schemes in the background of the story. And Lust Slave could revert to Denji becoming a slave or subservient to this girl who I now think really could actually be the Lust Devil. Which, if this is true, would make this girl the first devil we've actually seen that is based on one of the 7 deadly sins. I mean, the way that she refers to Denji as senpai in probably a pretty, how can I say, lustful way, and just how promiscuous she acts, does make me think that this girl, if she isn't an ordinary girl, could likely just be the Lust Devil. Well, let me know what you guys thought about this chapter down below, and do you think Denji is actually realizing that this girl set him up, or he thinks that this is all just a part of the date? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. As you guys know, I do read the comment section. But with all that being said, thank you guys for watching. This is Alex, and I'm signing out.